Hello, welcome to the ranch. Today we're talking about a forest edge plant that didn't need you. It just survived. Now, some plants, they just need your permission and they'll do their thing. If a plant can survive cold, animals, and neglect, well, we should probably just take a closer look at that plant. Before orchards, fertilizers, full sun plants, there was the gooseberry. Most of the food we grow today is designed for convenience. Flat ground, full sun, clean rows. But for most of human history, food didn't grow where it was easy. It grew where it survived. Gooseberries belong to that older world. They don't demand perfect soil. They don't need full sun. They don't ask to be the center of attention. They grow on the edges of a forest, of fields, of human systems. And that's exactly why they matter. Gooseberries are native across much of the northern hemisphere, Europe, Western Asia, and North America. In Europe, they were never orchard fruit. They lived in hedgerows, near walls and beneath trees. In North America, native gooseberry species grew wild long before agriculture arrived, including throughout the Rocky Mountains. And that matters because it's telling us something important. Gooseberries weren't introduced into cold landscapes. They evolved there. They learned snow, shade, took browsing pressure, and neglect. And they kept producing anyway. During the medieval period, gooseberries were common in monastery gardens, not because they were sweet, but because they were dependable. They tolerated partial shade near stone walls. They formed thorny boundaries that discouraged animals. They produced fruit that could be preserved for winter. In rural landscapes, gooseberries lived in hedgerows. Hedgerows weren't just fences, they were food systems. You had your trees above and the shrubs in the middle, grazing animals down below. Gooseberry fit perfect into that middle layer. Gooseberries declined when agriculture changed. Mechanization didn't like thorns. Monoculture didn't like shade. Industrial systems didn't like plants that refused those neat rows. Gooseberries didn't fail. They were simply replaced. Here's where things get interesting. Because when you look at gooseberries nutritionally, you start to see why they stayed a part of survival systems for so long. Gooseberries are not sweet fruit. They're low in sugar, high in fiber, and surprisingly rich in vitamin C. For weight, gooseberries carry several times the vitamin C of apples, with significantly less sugar. In cold climates, vitamin C wasn't optional. Gooseberries provided it. Without citrus, without trade, without full sun. Wild gooseberries, like those still found here in the Rocky Mountains, they're different. Smaller fruit, thicker skins, and more acidic. But they also have a greater resilience. Modern cultivated gooseberries, they trade some of that resilience for size and sweetness. That trade isn't wrong, but it is worth understanding. This isn't about numbers, it's about direction. Wild plants lean toward survival. Cultivated ones lean towards yield. Food forests benefit from remembering both. If you follow history instead of trends, gooseberry placement becomes obvious. North or east side of fruit trees, woodland margins, long paths and paddock edges, places where shade exists, where cold air settles, where snow lingers. Gooseberries don't compete for your best land. They turn forgotten space into food. Thorns deter browsing. Birds take surplus fruit. Chickens can forage beneath. In a food forest, gooseberries act less like crops and more like infrastructure. Living boundaries, edible edges, quiet productivity. When a plant keeps surviving without help, that's not fragile. That's tested. Gooseberries don't ask to be improved. They don't demand control. They just keep showing up where systems allow them to exist. When a plant survives cold, animals, and neglect, that's not an accident. That's intelligence. And sometimes the best thing a food forest can do, stop trying to control the land and just listen to what already grows there. Well, thanks for watching. Stop back in on me from time to time. I'm always doing something new.